Hey there, quirky peeps! The MCU is bringing in new characters left and right. 2022 brought us Moon Knight, Scarlet Scarab, America Chavez, Miss Marvel, the Red Dagger, Hercules, She-Hulk, Man-Thing, and Werewolf by Night. And now it is time for the biggest name of this year, Namor the Submariner. Black Panther Wakanda Forever is introducing Tenoch in this persona. It is needless to say that people are loving this comic-accurate look that has been blended with the real-world Aztec and Mayan culture. And they are all hyped because he is the antagonist of the film.
Wakanda will fall.
Namor is an anti-hero in the comics, as he could either be the greatest savior of the human world or its greatest threat. And that's obviously depending upon his mood, because he's got a big ego and a badass attitude. Anything could tick him off, and he has always been this way in the comics as well. But the MCU is making some major changes to his origin. You all may be aware that he is the king of the underworld kingdom Atlantis in the comics. But to make him different from DC's Aquaman, Marvel has given him a very different kingdom, or perhaps an entire realm called Talocan. To see the difference between Marvel's comics and the MCU, first let's look at Namor's comic origin. He made his debut back in 1939, but then he was brought back in a better way in the 60s through Fantastic Four. Over time, he has constantly switched from a hero to a villain with understandable motivations and then to an anti-hero. He started off as an enemy of the United States. Even though he acted like a villain, his cause had some justice, and readers reveled in his assault on civilization. He was seen battling the original Human Torch. But then during World War II, he joined one of Marvel's first super teams called the Invaders. Here he teamed up with Captain America, Bucky, and the original Human Torch to aid them against the Nazis. Later, when he was brought back in Fantastic Four, that's when his villainous arc started again. He was discovered by Johnny Storm as a superpowered guy with amnesia who was living on land. Then Johnny made him remember everything by dropping him in water. He remembered how the humans made him forget everything, and how they destroyed his home and scattered all the people of Atlantis through their nuclear testing. That made him bring the war on the surface world. Later on, he once again became a hero as he joined another superhero team called the Defenders. This squad included Doctor Strange, the Hulk, the Silver Surfer, and Namor himself. Apart from the Defenders, he has also teamed up with villains like Doctor Doom and Magneto on certain occasions. He teamed up with Thanos and the Black Order as well. We've seen him aiding the Avengers and the X-Men at times, and he has also been a key member of the Illuminati team. But there was an instance in the Avengers vs. X-Men arc where he became one of the Phoenix Five. He gained the powers of Phoenix Force when Tony had split it into 5 parts. During this time, he was siding with the X-Men. So, he caused Wakanda to be flooded. But this arc is being brought into the MCU as well. More on this later. Namor fell in love with Sue Storm and even asked her to be his bride and the Queen of Atlantis. But someone he truly hates is Black Panther, and the feeling is mutual for T'Challa as well. In the Incursion storyline, T'Challa surprised all the readers big time. He stabbed Namor out of nowhere to enact his revenge for what Namor did to Wakanda. This hate between Black Panther and Namor is why it would have been amazing to see T'Challa go up against him in the MCU. But anyway, sticking to Namor. He is half human, half Atlantean. In fact, his half-human side also has a mutation that gives him wings, thus allowing him to fly. And this mutant part is consistent in the MCU as well. Namor's father is Leonard Mackenzie, who was an American sea captain. He fell in love with Fen, the daughter of Atlantean Emperor Thakor. After conceiving Namor on the Oracle ship, Fen was brought back to Atlantis, which is the underwater kingdom that's pretty much like the one depicted in Aquaman. So following his birth, he was raised as a warrior to protect his kingdom, and he eventually became the king of Atlantis. But that's not the case in the MCU, as he is the king of a realm called Talocan instead. To explore this further, let's look at Namor and Talocon in the MCU. Here, Namor is being given a Mayan heritage. He won't be the king of an underwater kingdom, but a god of the water-connected realm that's Talocan. This realm has connections to the old Mayan and Aztec civilizations. And for those who aren't aware, these civilizations resided in Mesoamerica, which is roughly the southern part of North America. That's why a Mexican actor was cast for the role. And apparently, Tenoch has also learned the Mayan language to play the part. Anyway, MCU's Talocan is based on the underwater realms and the Aztec codices called Tlalocan. It is a paradise for the souls of those who died of a water or storm-related death. The MCU has been introducing so many afterlives, realms, and dimensions in Phase 4. And Talokan actually stays consistent with that pattern. Instead of being a kingdom that's physically present underwater, it seems to be an adjacent realm, or a dimension that can be accessed through underwater gateways. The closest example of this would come from Shang-Chi. Remember how there was a gateway to Talo somewhere in China? Similarly, underwater gateways could connect to this realm, which itself is largely or fully underwater. One of these doorways to Talocan must be near Mesoamerica. That's why these temples related to Talocan could be seen on Aztec and Mayan lands. And the Talo Canyon doorways and portals also explain how Wakanda will be flooded in the movie. If you look at the location of Wakanda on the world map, you could see that it is in the middle of the African continent. It is far inland and nowhere near an ocean. So how is it that Namor brings a giant flood into Wakanda and drowns its main city? Well, all this water comes from the realm of Talocan. A gateway to this realm must have been opened in the nearest water body to Wakanda. And that's how Namor could have brought a flood into the Wakandan nation. Now this ability makes Namor really dangerous, as he could literally attack anyone in the world who is close to a water body that's large enough to drown him. He doesn't just have connections to the oceans, but rivers, lakes, and ponds as well. Talocan is a separate dimension that isn't physically present on Earth. So this explains why none of the Talocanians have been caught or talked about so far in the MCU. They haven't showed themselves properly until now. In the Aztec codices, the ruler of Talocan is the Aztec rain god Tlaloc. But in the MCU's Talocan, he seems to have been replaced by this serpent god that Namor is seen painting. The Wakandans worship the panther goddess Bast, and Black Panther is sort of representative of Bast. He isn't an avatar of Bast like Mark Spector is of Khonshu, but he is close. Similarly, Namor could either be an avatar or a representative of this serpent god. That's why his people refer to him as
Kukulkan, the feather serpent god.
He is basically a god in Talocan. And now that we're caught up with this Talocanian deity in the MCU and in the comics, let's look at his powers and abilities. Back when Namor was first created, he was described as an Ultraman of the deep who lives on land and in the sea, who also flies in the air and has the strength of 1,000 men. So going by that description, Namor obviously possesses superhuman strength to an extreme level. Like DC's Aquaman, he can lift objects and vehicles that weigh in tons. He once knocked down the Savage Hulk and the Silver Surfer. He defeated the likes of She-Hulk and Luke Cage easily, and he also held his own against the mighty Thor and Hercules. So clearly, his power levels are insane and he is highly durable. As I mentioned before, the wings on his legs allow him to fly, but his super speed, agility, and quick reflexes are unmatched underwater. So it would be really tough to land an attack on him, as his leg wings also improve his reflexes. But even when he gets injured, his rapid healing takes care of it. He heals fast on land, but he heals almost instantly when he is underwater. He is a master combatant who is proficient with many weapons. He ages much slower than regular humans, and he breathes underwater through the gills behind his ears. Another interesting underwater ability of his is that he can command all aquatic life through telepathy. That's why he is able to team up with krakens and giant sea monsters. He possesses enhanced vision and enhanced hearing underwater. And his powerful weapon is the Trident of Neptune that even allows him to manipulate weather on the surface world, just like Storm can do it. But here in the MCU, his prime weapon is a spear. With all his abilities, the Wakandans might find it tough to take him on. He is obviously unbeatable underwater, but he has a few weaknesses that could be exploited. First of all, if someone plans to defeat him, then they'd have to do it on the surface world. The longer he stays on the surface, his abilities begin to deteriorate. His stamina and durability also get affected. And attacks of extreme heat on land cause his body to dry faster. So he gets weakened at an accelerated rate. Another way to gain an advantage over him is to ruin his leg wings. These appendages take a very long time to heal, so he isn't going to go airborne. He also has bipolar tendencies that get enhanced by his PTSD in the books. So, it would be interesting to see if this angle plays out in the MCU as well. Since Attuma has been revealed for Black Panther 2, we reckon that Namor will start off as a villain in Wakanda Forever. But he would then turn his focus to Attuma in a solo Namor outing that maybe follows in Phase 7. He'd obviously be the protagonist over there. The MCU can do a whole lot with Namor the Submariner. So let's see what role he will get to play in the upcoming Avengers movies like Kang Dynasty and Secret Wars. I hope that this video has helped you get ready for Namor and the MCU. Hit the like button and the subscribe buttons if you enjoyed the video. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.